Throughout the conversation, we're going to be checking in with the chat to talk about new topics brought up or to flesh out comments made by other people. Today, we're talking about breaking the ice and how to use the art of asking questions to do it. Obviously, breaking the ice is different now that we're in a virtual world, so we wanted to experiment with a little game today to learn more about each other and open up networking opportunities. How it works is simple. I'll start by asking someone a question, which can't be a simple yes or no, and they'll answer it, and then ask a different question to a different person. With this, we'll be able to move around the room and hear from everyone. As we do have a good amount of people, I'd ask to try to keep your answers brief, about 1 to 2 minutes if possible. To lay out a few ground rules for the game, one of which I'm about to break, I'll provide a quick example and we'll get up and running. First and foremost, ask questions to people you do not know. If you're new, this is going to be easy. If you're a regular newcomer, or if you're a regular person who comes to these often, try to find someone who's new. Try not to repeat questions. Kaylee will be dropping a question bank in the chat if it's simply too early to think of your own. As a reminder, the question cannot be a yes or no, but also stay away from asking things that are too personal. Pretend you're meeting someone for the first time in a coffee shop. And brevity is strength. We want everyone to be able to participate. And finally, to offer a challenge. If someone has an answer that intrigued you, reach out to them on LinkedIn. And since LinkedIn is the feature of our 10-second poll today, which I'd recommend everyone to take, it's pretty important. So to give the example, my name's Cooper. I know Kaylee, so I'm breaking the first rule, but I'm going to be asking Kaylee a question of saying, Kaylee, what's your favorite sports team?
So, Linda, sorry, but my favorite sports team is the Washington Redskins.
Very nice.
So,
and with that,
there's not really a story behind it. Both my parents are Redskins fans for whatever reason. And so I just wanted to be like my dad, and that's who I root for. So I am going to go to Paul because he is a new face and I don't know him. And Paul, I'm going to ask what your favorite dinner is to cook, not to eat. If you cook. If not, then to eat.
Good question. Favorite dinner to cook is my lasagna that my wife and I make. I'm a follow the recipe step-by-step kind of guy. My wife's a no recipe, very creative, just throw stuff in. So that's how our lasagna came to about. We follow my recipe, so we have the meat, the pasta, the sauce, and then my wife puts in eggplant and corn and mushrooms and gosh, what else? Spinach. She swaps out beef for turkey, and I remember the first time thinking, this is going to be a disaster. We are so off recipe. This is not going to work, but it worked out really well. People love it, and yeah, the recipe list keeps growing.
Sounds so yummy.
So we've yet to test it out on an 88-year-old Italian couple straight from Italy that lives across the street. I don't know if it'll be kosher to them, but we'll report back. Let's see.
Very nice. And Paul, ask anyone you like.
Sure. Let's go to Carol. What's one of your favorite things to do to de-stress and relax? Sure.
Carol, I believe you're muted.
Sorry. I believe that my favorite thing to do to de-stress is to watch trashy TV. And I'm not going to tell you what that is because it would be too embarrassing.
Have you watched Selling Sunset yet?
Have I watched what?
Selling Sunset on Netflix.
But I've been tempted. No, but I've been tempted.
Watch it.
I've heard only good things. And I forgot to give the reminder. Can we all please introduce ourselves and explain what we do for work?
Okay, I'm Carol Shavetta. I live in Northampton, Massachusetts, and I was up for a huge job right before the lockdown happened. My final interview was the Wednesday before we were locked down, and the job went away. So I'm currently unemployed, she says with sarcasm and a lot of sadness.
What
What?
do you hope to do?
I'm sorry, you really are kind of fuzzy.
What type of work do you hope to do?
Well, I've been in theater for most of my life, working on Broadway, and so in large arts organizations. So I currently work in a decimated business, which is really exciting. So I'm seeking other opportunities. I was, you know, I've had a long and happy career, so I'm in a unique position now to look into other ways to make an income outside my industry. Was that good? Did I say enough? Okay, thumbs up. Okay, so now I have to ask a question of somebody else. Okay. Okay, now the obvious, okay, Marcus, what's your favorite thing to eat for breakfast? I'm going the food route. It's been used, but at least it's different.
Well, I mean that's a tough question because I will eat anything for breakfast. So my ideal meal would be pizza and ice cream. Ice cream from King Cone. That's a Berkshire gem. Definitely need to try that out. But if I'm trying to be an adult, I'll just get some scrambled eggs with some cinnamon raisin toast. Okay,
And
so
Marcus, can you explain who you are and what you do?
okay, my name is Marcus. That's who I am. No. So my name is Marcus. I'm on the DLE advisory board. I just recently moved up to the Berkshires, and I currently work in wealth management for a financial advising firm out here. Sorry for being late, everyone. I typically go over the ground rules. So now I guess it's my turn to ask someone a question, correct, Phoebe? Okay. Let's see. Well, Rebecca Lee, I'm calling on you. So when you were a kid, what was your dream job?
Um, I think hi, I think I introduced myself. My name is Rebecca. As a kid, my dream job, I think it was to be an obstetrician, but that didn't happen. Life changed, and I think I want something else. My question will be to Jessie Knoll. What was the best piece of advice you've been given?
Ooh, wow, that hits hard. So hey everyone, I'm Jessie Knoll. I am a manager of custom content and experiences at Wavemaker, which is an advertising agency in New York City. And I've been in Brooklyn for most of the quarantine. The best advice I've ever been given. So it's actually interesting. I've heard this form of advice many, many times, but I heard it again this week from our new CEO that just started. Pay yourself first. You always should focus on making sure that you are at your best operating self before you give pieces of yourself to others, because you won't be able to actually function properly if you aren't practicing self-love, self-care, and really focusing on your own energy before you give it to others. So really deep and philosophical at 7 in the morning. But that is the best advice I've ever heard. Yeah.
You're just going off of that. I think that what he said is kind of based off, if anyone ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And he says that because if you pay yourself first, if you have other bills, you have to become creative to pay the other bills. So it's a way of forcing your mind and forcing yourself to create habits to come up with different kind of source of income. I'm sorry, that was just
No, that's awesome.
a brief.
Good
Yeah,
going,
that's
Rebecca.
awesome connection.
Rebecca, would you reintroduce yourself, because a number of new people have come on since you first did?
Oh yes, Hi, my name is Rebecca. I'm 22 years old. I am studying finance and supply chain management at Syracuse University. This is my last year, and yeah, that's it.
Cool. So I will direct my next question to Beth. Since it's early and you haven't had much of a day yet, I'm going to ask for yesterday. What was the highlight of your day yesterday?
Ooh, that's a good one. This is gonna sound so silly, but honestly, the highlight of my day was when my dog actually gave me affection because it's very rare. She has a mind of her own, so when she leans her head up against me or actually wants my attention, I get really, really excited. Like I said, very simple, but good question. Thank you, Jesse. I am gonna go with try to make sure that I'm not picking on anyone that has already gone. Chris, what is something you've always wanted to do but have been afraid to?
Oh, that's a good one. I try to embrace my fears and do a lot of things.
Chris, just introduce yourself, please.
Sure. I'm Chris Johnson. My company's called CE Solutions, and we do video production for all sorts of clients. And I'm a Syracuse grad myself, 2009. Too afraid to do. I'm gonna say oh man, you got me here because I do try a lot of things. I'm gonna say acting. It's not like, oh man, I don't dwell on not acting. I work with some people who act. I do a lot of camera work and creative things, but I'm gonna say acting because that was always one where I was like, I don't really want, like, I always pull back right before doing that. I do everything else in a production, but not acting. So I'll say acting. But I do try a lot of other things, personally. So that's a great question. I'll pick Austin. Austin, what's a career or business opportunity that you've gotten from an unexpected place? Maybe you're on vacation or something, not trying to get, not searching for an opportunity, but you found an opportunity somewhere in an unexpected place.
You're on mute.
Yeah, you might be on mute.
Can you hear me now? Okay. My name is Austin. I live in Pittsfield in the Berkshires. I work at General Dynamics Mission Systems as a systems engineer. It's kind of, I've only had 2 jobs. I worked while I was in high school, and then I have this job. So, and both of which so when I worked in high school, it was at a local marina, and I basically just walked down the street, said, I live right up the road, I'm willing to work every day after school, what do you got for me, what do you want me to do? And they gave me the job. And then this job I worked really, really hard for in school to get. So honestly, I don't think that I've had a spontaneous, unexpected business or job opportunity. Yeah, no, I've only had really 2 jobs, so I can't say that had a plethora of things happen to me that was unexpected. Well, I did start a leaf blowing business unexpectedly for one summer or for one fall. Yeah, that was unexpected. It was, I was with my friends. We were actually like out riding bikes, and somebody was selling like a leaf blower out at the end of their driveway. So we thought, and it wasn't working. So we thought, what if we just bought this, fixed it up, and then blew people's leaves and made some money, and that we ended up doing that. So I'll consider that as an unexpected business or job. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a good question. Has Kirsten gone yet? Okay, what is something on your bucket list that you'd be able to accomplish in the next 12 months?
That's a really tough one. I think all my bucket list things are always so travel centered, and that doesn't seem very happening right now. I would definitely say, I think just doing something I've never done before is just, that's so broad. But I keep trying to find things. I'm like, what have I never done? Like not too long ago, I went like indoor rock climbing, and I've never done that before, and that was so fun. So I'm trying to find like little things like that to do. So I'm also new to the area. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Kirsten. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I am an office manager at an architecture company called Little. And so I'm still new to the area. So I'm trying to explore and find new things to do, places to go. So I feel like that's my bucket list thing to do, is just kind of explore and find fun places here before we can take a plane somewhere fun. And then who's left to go?
So when you can take a plane somewhere fun, where's the first place you're gonna
go? If I can, I've always wanted to go to Netherlands, Holland. I always just thought the area was so beautiful. My grandfather's actually from there, and I have long distance family. I have no idea who they are that live there. So just to kind of see where my grandfather was from and the culture, and I just really want to go there. So that's definitely my top one. Gotta go. And let's pick on Nicole. You haven't gone? My question for you is, have you read any really good books lately? And if not, do you have any recommendations for a good book?
My name's Nicole. I'm the operations and marketing assistant for the DLE. That's a good question. I'm actually doing a book bingo with my grandma, or I did it with her this summer. My aunt lives in Seattle, and the Seattle Library comes out with a book bingo every summer, so we were all doing it together. The most recent book I read is The Shining. I've never read a book by Stephen King before, and it's just been sitting on my shelf for so long. So I tried it out, and I thought it was really good. And yeah. So the question I have, I'll go with MacLeod. Is that how you pronounce your name?
It's MacLeod, but close.
Okay. My question for you is, what is your favorite place that you've ever visited?
Ooh, okay. Well, I think about it. My name is MacLeod. I live in the North End in Boston. I'm a Syracuse grad as well, 2011, Econ and International Relations. And currently I'm in wealth management, some like Marcus, a different company. And yeah, I think the favorite place I've been to, wow, I've been lucky. I've traveled a lot. I've been able to travel a lot. And I want to say St. Martin in the Caribbean. It was probably one of the coolest vacations I've ever taken, because I like planes a lot. So there's that airport right by the beach, and you can see them take off and land like right there, which is pretty cool. and at night just kind of get to relax. And there's a lot of different cultures there that kind of mix and combine, and it was a really good time. It was just meeting new people and just hanging out. So I really enjoyed that. I said St. Martin in the Caribbean. Yeah, it got devastated by the hurricane that came through a few years ago. So that was kind of, I know they're still rebuilding, but and it was both sides. I stayed in the Dutch side, Scott, actually, but I went to both sides. They're both very different. I preferred the Dutch side more. I thought it was more diverse. There's also bigger boats there, way bigger boats there. It was kind of very cool, but the French side was pretty fun too. So, yeah. Okay, let me see who has to go. I'm gonna go with Anna. Somebody ask you someone? I didn't even see you yet. Oh, there you are. Hey, Anna. I was looking for you for your video. Okay. My question is, what is one thing that you always fear of doing, were afraid of doing, but once you did it, you were so happy that you did?
Oh, that's a hard one. One thing I was always afraid of doing. Trying to think. This one kind of sounds cliche, but I never really liked to leave home. I was always a homebody and I liked staying close to home. And going to school terrified me. I went to UMass Amherst. Oh, I'll start over. My name's Anna. I'm a systems engineer at General Dynamics. I live here in Pittsfield. But one thing I think, yeah, just like going away to school, that terrified me, but I would never change it for the world. I'm not a super daredevil, so I don't have any like fun like jumping out of a plane stories or anything like that. But
no, that's fair. I mean, it's scary. So, thank you.
Of course, thank you. All right, let me see. Aaliyah, I'm gonna ask you a question. So, if you could have dinner with anyone, they can be past, alive, anything, future self, whatever. If you could have dinner with anyone, who would it be and why?
Okay, I like that question a lot. I would probably say, this might be kind of sad, but I would probably say Kobe Bryant because, first of all, I'm Aaliyah Merrow. I am from Syracuse. I'm actually from Durham, North Carolina, but I graduated from Syracuse. I play professional tennis, and so I just think that Kobe is the ultimate competitor, as well as when he went into his second act in life, he was still competing and still giving back to communities and even the basketball community. So it was really cool. I would say Kobe Bryant for sure. Let's see, who hasn't gone yet? Yes, we should. Who hasn't gone yet?
Dana needs to go, Linda, Mary, okay. Cooper, Scott, and Jessica.
All righty. Let's see. Let's do you, Cooper. What's the hardest challenge you ever had to overcome?
That's a great question.
Okay.
Last summer, August 2nd, 8:05 in the morning, I decided to go for a bike ride and was hit by a car and broke my left ankle, broke my left wrist, was pretty badly scraped up, and essentially had to recompose myself and relearn how to walk and do all of my activities that made me happy, like golf and see friends. And I was bedridden for probably 3 weeks. And funny enough, it was the first day of my vacation in between new jobs. So I had taken a month off in between transitioning from my old job and my new job. I'm Cooper, by the way. I work at General Dynamics Mission Systems in Pittsfield as an engineer. And so at 8:05 on the first morning of my vacation, I was hit by a car. But it's a bummer. I like to say that in ways it was actually the best thing that ever happened to me because it completely reshapes how you look at life and how thankful you are to literally be walking. So it's just, yeah, it's hard to overcome, but puts everything else in perspective, which I think is really important. All right. Scott, when all of COVID ends, when life goes back to normal, which I need to believe it will, what's the first non-socially distant activity you're running to?
Easy. Okay, so I'm Scott. I live in Newport, Rhode Island. I am the director of senior officer training for our surface forces. So anybody that goes to a ship that's in charge of a Navy ship, my team is responsible for training. So the first thing we're going to do is go to Sardella's. My family and I go to Sardella's down in Newport. It's a great little Italian restaurant, but it's been hit pretty hard. And we absolutely love it. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Let's see. So who's left? Kaylee, did you go already? Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. It's Dana, Linda, Mary, and Jessica left.
Okay. Well, I'll go with Linda because everybody will try and hold off on her. Linda, what makes you angry?
I don't know when I'm Linda Dulye. I am in the
Besides people not
Berkshires.
updating their LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah, I'm going to take that off. Yeah, when the Eagles lose, when Syracuse loses. No, what makes me angry is accountability. I'm a big one on you execute on what you say you're going to do. So the lack of fulfillment and follow-up really does tick me off. And whether it's me, guilty as charged, or others, but it is definitely something to set me off. So that's a big one. It's a good question too. Cooper, can I do one for everybody and they use the chat?
Sure, but can we get to Jessica first? Because I think Dana and Mary dropped off, and I know Jessica hasn't gone yet.
Okay. So Jessica, you there?
Hi, good
Oh, wait,
morning.
Mary is here. I'm sorry, I missed you. We also need Mary after Jessica.
Okay, cool. Jessica, what charity do you support?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. Unfortunately, I don't.
And just introduce yourself too.
Oh, yeah. My name is Jessica Soriano. I am 29 years old. I live in Lanesboro, Massachusetts, and I'm very grateful to say that I work from home since everything happened with COVID, and I work for a photography company that services New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut hospitals to photograph newborns. So like I was saying, I don't currently support any charities. I would like to absolutely be more involved in giving back. But yeah, I think that would be my answer. And I think somebody said Mary hasn't gone, right?
Yep.
Mary, what is your favorite food?
Hi, everybody. I'm Mary. I am in the DC area and I work for a university in an academic learning department. My favorite food, I'm going to be super basic, but I'm going to say potatoes because you can do a lot of amazing things with a potato.
You gotta give us the favorite iteration of.
Yeah. My favorite iteration of the potato, I mean, probably French fries, let's be real, but mashed potatoes are quite delightful as well.
Okay, we'll follow up from there. What kind of French fry? Because there's so many different types of French fries.
How about curly fries?
All right.
That's everyone if Dana dropped off. So Linda, you want to ask yours to everyone to answer in the chat?
So Cooper has one, and then I've got one that I thought of this morning. Cooper, pose yours.
All right, so we're going to do something a little bit different right now where we're going to all utilize the chat. So I'm going to be posting a sentence in the chat, and we're going to give everyone 1 or 2 minutes, or not even, we're going to give people 15 seconds. I want this to be just a gut response of what this question is. 1 sentence to fill in what's one thing that makes you say, count me in. Just 15 seconds, throw it in the chat. I feel you on that, Anna and Beth. And now that people are throwing these in, just take a minute, just scroll up and down and see what people are saying. See if anyone's saying the same thing as you. See if anyone's saying, wow, I am not gonna do that, or anything like that. Carol, getting people to vote, that is near and dear to my heart.
Makes me not look very fun though compared to everybody else.
Oh, voting is the most fun a responsible human can have. God, these are great. Going for a hike, food, travel, good rowing, playing soccer, going somewhere you've never gone. Oh, we have 2 playing soccers. Coletta and Jessica. Look at that. Reading and getting away from people, Marcus. I like that. We've got an always down for wine from Jesse. We'll need to set that up when you visit the Berkshires. Food and travel. I'm seeing a lot of people say food and travel, which I love. So Linda, if you'd like to pose your question, and then we can get into a bit more of an open discussion.
Okay, this is going to be 5 seconds. What do you prefer, a lakeside campground or a 5-star hotel?
Okay, can I ask what kind of campground this is? Like, do we have like electricity? Like, is this like?
Is this glamping or camping?
Yeah, because that might change my answer.
It's not camping if it's glamping.
Is this like Adirondack style? Like, we're up in the woods?
And where's the hotel?
That's also very true. I'm still rolling with hotel. Man, that could be a contentious debate. But since everyone has answered questions and we have about 20 minutes left, what I'd like to bring up is other methods people have been using to break the ice over our new virtual medium. One of the things I've personally found most difficult is the lack of spontaneity, where it feels like every meeting you have over this virtual lifestyle that we now all have is planned. Everything's either a meeting or it's a planned, happy hour between coworkers, or it's a planned everyone who's in this industry get to know each other. And I think we've really lost something in that you can't strike up a conversation in a coffee line or meet someone at, a minor league baseball game. And I think we've lost that. So I was wondering if anyone has any solutions or if anyone has been struggling with the same thing. And at this point, feel free to just jump into the conversation.
Yeah, no, I've been struggling with the same thing too. Oh, sorry. Kirsten, if you want to go ahead first.
No, go ahead. I'll go after you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I've been struggling with the same thing, but I'm actually using it as a positive. Right now, I feel like, and I don't know if I've said this to people, but like career-wise and like professionally, I'm really blessed for the fact that like right now my career is like doing just fine, rolling on the tracks. I'm actually like busier than normal right now. So because of the lack of like networking opportunities, it's actually allowed me to focus on my friendships a little bit more and focus more on the personal in my life. And so while it's not networking, like your relationships with your friends are in a sense kind of networking and just like building your relationships. And I've been able to be more spontaneous with my friends, which is really nice. For example, I'm not a spontaneous person at all. I anxiously plan everything. And like, if I don't know all the answers, normally I freak out and get crazy. And about a week ago, so like basically the week of leading into the Labor Day holiday, I had a couple friends ask, like, or put out into our group chat, like, hey, we just got a Airbnb in the Catskills. Anyone in? And I was like, sure, why not? And so I like spontaneously decided to go on a vacation with friends, which, you know, I wouldn't normally have done because I'm not spontaneous. So while it sucks that I'm not able to kind of connect with others, and to be honest, like in the virtual world, it almost sometimes feels a little like people are trying a little too hard. Like I get like vendor emails all the time, and it's just like you can tell that it was a mass email blast and that they didn't actually put any effort into it. I'm actually okay with that right now because I'd rather focus on a little bit more of like the personal life that I probably haven't given full attention to for a while.
Can I just branch off of that quickly and say I got the most wonderful mass email yesterday where they addressed me by name. They like brought up details of my application and it felt good. So if you're writing those kinds of emails, addressed by name, try to call out something personal, and it goes a long way. And I know Beth and Kirsten, it looked like you guys had something to say.
So I was just going to say that one of the things that I try and use as icebreakers and to kind of make me feel like I'm at least connecting with one person in the virtual world, because I usually have to do a lot of these. I try and do what I would do in a coffee line, which is I usually tend to compliment someone in front of me. So I usually will just scan the screen, and if I genuinely see something in the background or I like what they're wearing, I usually will either drop in the chat, or if I'm able to, I'll just call it out on video. Like yesterday I had to do that, and I met like 14 new people, and one of the first things that I noticed was someone's like flag in the background, and I just gave a compliment about it because it just put me at ease, but it also made that person feel good, and it's just a way to connect. But that's what I typically try and do, is just find someone to compliment.
That's wonderful. Scott, I would love if you could bring up focusing on things that you can impact and choose to lean more into now that we have so much more time at home. Oh, I'm sorry. Jesse was replying to Scott when he said that. But Scott, I'd still like you to bring up what you said.
Yeah, so in the military, which I've been in now for 29 years, we hear a lot of talk about work-life balance. And I had someone very senior to me who had been in almost 40 years say, well, you don't really get work-life balance within one job, so to speak. And we switch jobs about every 2 to 3 years. He said you get it over multiple jobs. So, you know, what we're in now, I consider like call this a little bubble of a job. There are things that we can't do. So focus on the things that you can know and advance that line of effort, if you will, so that when other things open up, you can advance on those, and the things that you've been doing here, all that planning, can take a little bit of a backseat. You can put those on a drift, if you will.
Absolutely, and I know this is something we've talked about before, but has anyone found themselves getting into hobbies or doing activities that they've either are completely new to or have been putting off?
I will say that I never liked to work out. I hate the gym. I hate any of that. Like, it was not me. And through COVID, I've actually done 2 virtual boot camps. I work out with Linda once a week. Like, I have done way more, and I feel so much better. And I don't know if I would have done it and gotten into it if I wouldn't have had this, because it forced us to find those new things. So that's definitely a new hobby I've done.
I started.
I do have something.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. No, I started biking, running my bike around Boston and Denver for a few months when I was there, hanging out with the family and trying to play guitar. I've always liked the guitar. I had a guitar in my room for a while, like 5 years, and never picked it up. And it hurts my hands a lot because I'm very new at it. I'm very new to music in general, like what every note is. But I'm enjoying the challenge. It's hard, but it keeps me busy. And in the quarantine days where I'm lucky to have a job, I'm lucky.
So can I pose a question out there? How are you, if you've gotten a new customer, client, or a new team member, how are you getting to know them virtually? What are you doing?
So interestingly, at General Dynamics, we have what's called a buddy system where we pair new employees with more experienced employees. And I was lucky enough to be assigned a new employee to kind of take into my team. And we found out that we have a ton of stuff in common. So right before last weekend, we actually went out mountain biking, which felt safe socially. And we went over to Lenox and went to Kennedy Park and we biked all around and got to know each other. And it was really nice. But from what I've been talking about with him, it is nearly impossible to get to know people just over Skype. I mean, it's just, especially in a work environment, how do you even bring up what you do outside of work in a meeting?
Yeah, Cooper, I actually, Monday, this upcoming Monday, I'm also a buddy for a new hire and I'm going to be onboarding somebody, but I'm actually going in plant for it. I don't know if you did it all virtually, but I'm actually going to be going in plant for it. And I think that that is definitely a huge, huge advantage. I couldn't imagine. Well, actually, there was also an intern that came onto my team that I kind of came onto my responsibility as well for the intern. And I have not met him in person, and doing it virtually is really, really hard. Like you said, there's no real way to make a personal connection. So actually what I did was I just scheduled a 1 hour, just him and I meeting just to get to know each other, because there's no way to stumble upon each other in the hallway or go for a walk or, go play ping pong together. There is none of that. So I just scheduled my own time. And I've been usually about once a week, I have like an hour block that I'll just spend talking to him and learning about him and stuff.
Austin, we put together a whole skill sharpener tip sheet on icebreaker questions that we're going to have available for everyone after they take the poll. So get that and use some of those questions. There's a whole bunch of them to help you.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, my buddy and I do something similar where we set up what's called an STS meeting every Wednesday for 30 minutes, which is shoot the blank. I'm sure you can fill in the blank, where we just decompress. We don't charge it. We just talk to each other for half an hour. And it's been great just to get to know each other.
Yeah, so I actually gotten lucky and picked up new clients during this pandemic. But getting to know them, the way I've done it, I'm very direct with it. With my job, it's all about relationships and relationship building. So I just kind of approach it more like, I just want to get to know you first, to get to know me, see if this is gonna work out. If not, no big deal. And I just ask questions. And I've applied what I've done in like my networking, like physical, like when we're out of bar or whatever life, to video chats or phone calls. And I've gotten a lot better at it too, I realized. But it takes time. It's longer, and like Cooper said, it's almost nearly impossible because like it's hard to read body language. It's hard to understand, like their facial expressions. At least with Skype or GoToMeeting, that helps. But I've learned to just listen for keywords, like how people respond to a question. Like either they're doing it emotionally or rationally. Like when they say, "Oh, I think about this," like that means they're doing a rational response as opposed to I feel like that's more of an emotional response. And then from there, you start kind of just listening and trying to, understand. And sometimes, like, there's just nothing to relate to. And I admit to that. It's like, oh, listen, I don't know anything about that, but I'm good you're having fun or whatever. It's in better words. I'm just trying to summarize, but that's kind of like, it's put me in a more vulnerable spot that surprisingly has been to my benefit.
I'd like to speak on the flip side as someone who's unemployed and having to network through these times. And so I am forced to create a personal connection, and even harder with people I have no idea if they like me, accept me, whatever. And I have found that the only way that I can do it, because it's critical that I do it, is I do eye contact, whether they can see that I'm looking right at them. Like, Chris, I am looking deep into your eyes right now because you're nodding to what I'm saying. So I'm looking right at you. I have to do that because it creates that transparency that creates that connection. Whether it's real or virtual or whatever, it feels real to me. So therefore, it's going to feel real to the person on the other side. I've also taken a week-long workshop where we were forced to have personal connections, and we figured out a way to do it. So, my life right now is completely virtual, yet I'm also looking for employment and having to look at networking in different ways. So I have found that I have to create that, and I found ways to do that. So just sharing the opposite perspective.
I think you bring up a hugely important point which is that a level of personability is gone, and that you really need to now make an effort to bring it back, which is hugely important, because something that's often said is that 80% of a conversation is nonverbal, and that only 20% of the conversation is the words. And it's so much harder seeing everyone in their little boxes now. Interestingly, at General Dynamics, we don't even have cameras, so we're just staring at nothing, and they're all essentially conference calls. So it's even harder then, even though I personally love it.
I actually don't know how you would do it via conference calls, but I have learned I've run a lot of big meetings where you have to really read the crowd and you have to read the body language. And I have found even in large Zoom calls, you can sort of read people's body language if you're really paying attention. And that's what it comes down to. You have to be super present, to look and see, oh, so-and-so's upset or so-and-so's falling asleep, I've had to do that in my business life, but I found I can also do it in my Zoom life, and maybe I've just been on so many large Zoom calls and I've just learned how to read the room, even if it's a virtual room. But it takes a slightly nuanced skill to existing skills.
Yeah, I have something to add to
Austin,
that.
go ahead.
Yeah, so I've been doing lots of training as part of the program that I'm in at GDMS, and one of the things was communication training. And we were told 7% of what is said is registered, 55% of communication gets conveyed through body language, and 38% is from tone and voice. So if you're only talking on Skype and just speaking, that means only 7% of what is being registered, of what you're saying is being registered, which is just really shocking. And it does make it very, very difficult to, have those, make those connections with only 7% of what you're saying getting across. I just thought that was interesting.
So Dana, you did a book launch virtually last night. I mean, how did that feel for you in terms of making connections, and what do you think went well and what didn't?
Yeah, so it was definitely difficult, I think, to feel as everyone has said, read the room and kind of feel the energy that I feel like I'm pretty good at in person. And it's hard when people aren't physically nodding or like giving you those responses that maybe you want to see. But I really loved that. I mean, I had people from all over the country join me, so that was really positive, and a lot of family members who've like never been to one of my events before. So in that sense, it was awesome, but it was definitely challenging kind of when I was speaking to know how it was landing, I think. So yeah, but I loved that I was able to include so many people. So that meant a lot.
Absolutely. And I realize we only have a few minutes left, but for anyone not in the chat, I need Jesse to recant his story because it cannot be missed. And I refuse to have anyone not read it or hear it.
Yeah. So on the topic of eye contact, Carol, you're so right. Eye contact in like the virtual world is just really weird because you want to look at the camera, but then you want to look down at people. And like, it's just like, you're like, where do I actually look? And like, how do I actually make that connection? So it was really funny. About a few weeks ago, so one of my clients is IKEA, and every week or every month we have this thing called Spark Session where we basically just bring a fun topic to them, get them inspired, get their minds thinking of like different just kind of things that they can explore as a brand. And I was leading that session for the month, and I was like talking into the camera the entire time because my slides were like pretty much right in front of it. And at the end of the presentation, one of my clients was like, Jesse, since you were the only one on camera, I could only see your face the entire time. And it looked like you were making direct eye contact with me the entire time and staring into my soul. And it was really calming. And I know that you probably weren't even thinking about looking at me because all of us were off camera, but I just wanted to let you know that. And like everyone on the call started like dying. So that was my story.
And I'm sure there are a million horror or not so horror stories that are of the same root. As it is 7:55, I do want to throw it over to Linda so she can make a couple announcements, and then we'll keep the conversation going. If this is your first time, at 8 o'clock we have a soft stop, but I usually support the conversation for another 15, 20 minutes, however long people want to stay on, I'll be here. So as long as you want to stay, I'll be here. We usually turn the recording off after 8. Everyone can unmute. It becomes more casual, and we just still have the conversation.
Thanks, everybody. So we really take feedback to heart. There's a poll that Nicole just posted that we'd love to have you give us insights on today, but also future programming. Also, you'll get the tip sheet that I talked about that we've compiled on icebreaker questions. This is a free flow because a lot of our members said, you know, we really want to go back to just a free flow conversation, but we also do ones where we have a guest speaker, and we have a breakfast club coming up on the 25th with a guest speaker, Lou Alexander, who happens to be an entrepreneur. He's got a business called Big Ass Jogger. He's also a national sales leader in a fairly large manufacturing company. He's West Coast based. He's going to talk about the power of curiosity and how one question can change your life. And it'll be structured where there'll be about a 20-minute conversation with him, and then we go into a free flow and Q&A as well. So if this is your first experience, and there for some of you it is, a little bit different, but still getting this group exchange as well. We also have a program next week that we've planned, and it's at noon on Friday. It's our Culture Chat program, and we're going to focus on the art of negotiation, how to negotiate with confidence. We've heard from a number of our members the negotiation skills, and it's not just with a salary. It's like negotiating a project. I want to get a seat at the table on a project, or maybe even a purchase, that there's a confidence and a skill that they're feeling that they don't have and want to hone. So we're going to focus on let's make a deal, how to negotiate with confidence. And then because a lot of folks have expressed, and I know all of us are feeling it, a new kind of stress from always being on a screen and being studied. Wellness is a big piece that people have in mind. So our ownership workshop this month on the 30th is really about how to ground yourself in well-being. And that's our topic. And we have a subject matter expert who will actually take us through practices, not PowerPoint slides, actual practices in breathing and in stretching. And her name is Trini Houghton. She's got a business in New Hampshire called Ripple Effect Consulting. And that's really going to be addressing how do we kind of own our own self-being. As Anna said, I work out a lot. We have a trainer that comes and beats me up all the time. That's very, very good. But I need to also do some things on my own. And this really is more about what you can do within the confines even of your room and office in helping to motivate yourself to be more grounded in your well-being. So lots of great programming. And if you have any ideas, if you'd like to be a subject matter expert to share skills, because everyone has skills. Carol, I'm really interested in some of the workshop tips you learned could maybe be a future topic for us on the Breakfast Club. Please don't hesitate to give us that feedback. One more thing, and I know for some folks it wasn't a big deal, but it was for me. I'm a New Yorker. I grew up in the lower Hudson Valley, and today's a very big event. I know back in our town there are commemorative events going on, memorials going on, and I just like for those who do have a connection to 9/11, just take a moment to think about and have a prayer for so many whose lives were taken, so many families who were affected by the tragedies that day. I hate to end on a down one, but I do want to recognize the importance of today. Cooper?
Linda, thanks for bringing 9/11 up. I have to say it was probably, I was in New York on 9/11, and it probably was the one of the single most pivotal events in my life. It led to me adopting my daughter. So, you know,
Wow.
thank you for bringing it up. And, you know, at 9 o'clock, I check in with the person. Every year we've done it, who I was with at the time, you know, when we were working together. So I check in with him at 9 o'clock every year. So thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for reminding me to call Andrew.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for that story. As it is 8 o'clock, I understand people will be dropping off. Thank you everyone so much for coming.